Hello, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Gaming Leisure's podcast, our voice podcast. My name is John Cash Philippi, and we're starting a leadership series where we're going to be talking to a lot of the GNL board members and just getting their thoughts on leadership and how they got into their positions. Today, we're going to be talking to the Senior Vice President of IT for Cordish Gaming. His name is Frank Bonini, and we're going to get his insights on what a good leader is, what they think a good leader is, and a little bit more about how they ended up growing, or how he ended up growing into the position he's in currently. Before we do that, I do need to give a little shout out to our sponsor for today's show, SSI POS. If you're looking for a POS partner that offers all in-house services, including development and 24/7, 365 live domestic support, look no further than Signature Systems Incorporated, home of SSI POS, the top-rated casino point-of-sale system. With all integrations, comprehensive menu management, no hardware lock-in, and an array of solutions that include guest-empowered kiosks, Signature Systems, winner of the Innovation Award and the 2022 Gaming and Hospitality Industry Awards, is your one-stop shop for technology innovation. Learn more at ssipos.com. Now, on a personal note, if you are in the area looking for a good POS system, this is a great option. Give Mike Nardi and those guys a call. They'd be happy to talk to you. So, without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Frank Bonini. And Frank, if you could tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks, John. So my name is Frank Bonini. I am an IT professional, been in the business for a little over 40 years. I worked for some major players outside the casino industry before I ever got introduced to gaming. I worked for Digital Equipment Corporation, Microsoft, and a number of other companies. And in the early 2000s, came into the casino industry and brought a lot of what I had learned there. I'm a developer, in terms of where my passion lies, right, is in development. Um, but over the years, just learning more and more and getting involved also in other facets of IT, have just really grown to just love technology in general, and that's why I do what I do.
Great. And yeah, for the audience out there, me and Frank actually worked together on some projects in the past, and it's been very fulfilling. And trust me, when he says he's a developer, he is being modest. He is the developer, and he's a incredible leader as well. So, and that's why I wanted him to be one of the first people we talked to in the leadership series. So, Frank, tell us, what do you believe makes a great leader?
Well, John, thank you first of all for saying all the nice things. I very much enjoyed the projects that we worked on together. That was great fun. What makes a great leader? That's it's a really good question. I've seen so many different leadership styles as I've come up in my career, and I, it's hard to pin down just one or two things that make a great leader, right? I think number one, you've got to have you've got to know something about what's going on in your industry. You can't be somebody who came out of the blue from someplace that had nothing to do with where you're working now and expect to be effective. It's very hard to get the team to respect you that way, and it can be difficult. So I think one of the things is being well-rounded in your space. Another is having compassion for for people. I did not tend to be the most compassionate guy as I was coming up in my career, right? And that was something that was an acquired skill for me. Um, Before I was a leader, I was someone who never wanted to be a leader, and I felt that I could be more of an asset on the technology side. But leadership has actually become something I enjoy quite a bit. Listening is extremely important. Um, Actually caring about the careers of your direct reports, right? Being comfortable and willing to grow people. Another thing that makes a great leader, I think, is understanding that you don't know everything. Being able to surround yourself. This is one of the things, John, I've always been impressed with you. You and I have talked about this, is that it's building the team. And being able to build a solid team, I think, is a really important thing to do because no one person can do it all.
Yeah, I'm definitely been very lucky in some of the people I've got in to work with me. And that makes it more fulfilling for I think for everyone is when you can have a team that syncs together and listens to each other and actually provides their piece of the puzzle and really wants to be there. And that's fantastic. I guess my other question to that then is who really inspires you? I mean, who really kind of brings it out of you?
In terms of, I mean, let me qualify that question a little bit. Are you talking about like who inspired me to emulate a style, or are you talking about who inspires me now to continue to try to be a great leader?
To continue to try to be
No.
a great leader.
Okay, really, it's my team, right? I feel like I owe that to them. They are an incredible group of people. I feel blessed to have the team that I have. They have never let me down. We work together collaboratively. We always have fun working together. And I think that's just what inspires me to continue to try to be someone that they not only respect, but that they enjoy working with. And someone who can actually help them be more effective in what they do. I feel like that's my primary job is to make sure they can do their job, right? Remove obstacles and allow them to succeed. And that's really what I pattern my style on.
Excellent. Well, did you I did you decide to become a leader? I mean, did you make a path or were you kind of thrust into it?
Now, as I mentioned, it was like one of the last things I thought I would really be interested in doing, right? I was the technologist. I loved technology. I loved writing code. I loved watching customers use systems I built. It was all about the technology for me. The leadership came later, and as as I became more senior and opportunities opened themselves up, um, there it became obvious that that was the right direction for me to go in because I could be more effective taking the skills that I had learned and helping coach others to become more effective in their skills and overall make a bigger contribution to the company that way. Um, while I never thought I wanted to do that, there was a time when all of a sudden there was a void that needed to be filled, and I kind of got tapped to fill the void, and that it was really the beginning of it for me, and I really never looked back. It was a good move. It took me a little while to get comfortable with it, but it was a good move.
Yeah, I think they say that the was it the crossroads of or it's the opportunities where our luck is where opportunity and readiness cross. And it's just one of those situations where it seems like luck and it never is. You're
Right,
ready for it. And
right.
uh, now, as a new leader, when you were coming up into that position or thrust into that position, eh, what what advice did you receive that would help help you get better?
Very little. Um, a lot of it, there wasn't a whole lot of like direct advice. It was really more. I was fortunate in a couple of cases in leadership positions to have good mentors. Um, and I could go to those people and they could help me understand more about the leadership parts of my role. So in terms of actual advice that I was given, uh, it's a tough one, John, because there just wasn't a lot, right? A lot of it was You just sort of had to fend for yourself. The environment that I'm talking about, you're also familiar with, and there just wasn't a lot of guidance. So you just sort of needed to figure it out and make it work. I don't necessarily mind working in an environment like that. I think those lessons are hard lessons to learn, but you don't forget them. And they can really be transformative in how you do things going down the road. So I don't know that I actually received any really solid advice except on, I would say, the team building side, right? The probably the most important thing was hiring for fit uh, ahead of skills, right? I can teach skills. I can't teach you to be a good person. That's your mom and dad's job. Okay. Um, so, and that's something that I practice to this day. I involve um, my team members in interview processes. I would never just hire someone and bring them in the organization and surprise everybody and say, "Hey, look, here's Fred, and he's your new boss." No, that's not going to happen. So it's important, I think, to do those things, and that was really not direct advice. It was more taught by example, I would say. So how's
Cool.
that?
No, that's perfect. Uh, it's leadership. There's no right or wrong answer, no matter how
Right.
you look at it. I mean, and that kind of brings me into the next question. It's kind of a good segue to that because when it comes to leadership style, and there's different types of leadership styles, and I can just very simply say my leadership style has changed so much over the years. And it sounds like you were talking about how you had a kind of a really, autocratic style at the beginning. It had to move into different styles. What style do you think you're at now or working with?
I don't know that I could pin it down to a single word that describes the style, right? Um, I think if I were looking at how I do things today, I would probably say it's more a combination of, I'm going to say visionary, but that makes it sound like I have all the ideas. I don't have all the ideas. I have ideas, but so do other people in the group. So, in addition to presenting my ideas, I also am someone who will, you know, make sure that the dialogue stays open. I want everybody's ideas, right? I can't think of everything. And I want the team to have skin in the game. So visionary to an extent, but also smart enough to know I can't possibly have all the answers. Also, more of a coach, I think. I mentioned earlier that we do like to grow from within as much as possible, and I love being able to work with team members and just sort of and help them grow and watch the results of that. That ended up being far more rewarding for me than I had ever thought possible. To see that I could have a positive impact on other people like that, and it's one of the reasons I remained a leader instead of rolling back into a technical role. Um, I've also been exposed to styles that you know they say you can learn something from anybody, right? Well, sometimes what you learn is what not to do. And obviously there have been a lot of styles that I've been exposed to in the past that help me form who I am now, and remembering how I felt in those environments, promising myself I would never make my team feel that way. Right. Um, so I think really that those are the two big ones. It's coaching and then helping to form an enterprise vision so that we can all do what's right for the business and move everything forward.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think that you're absolutely correct when you say visionary because you are quite you create a good catalyst, which I think is where I always determine visionary uh,
Okay.
leadership is just that catalyst person. I throw a great vision out there and say, let's go get it.
Right.
Yeah, and from what my experience with you, obviously, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Um, and coaching definitely because you used to love watching you run your teams. Especially well, that's story for another day.
Yes.
When we're not on camera and doing a
There
show.
you go.
But there's some fun things.
I'll tell you one of my favorite just memories about when we were working together at the property in Atlantic City the first time. Um, when I became the executive director, and just the feedback I got from the team where it almost felt like a call center. You walk out of the office and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So that's kind of an example of what I mean where I could be sitting in that office doing nothing but writing code, or I could be out there with the group, right, and able to affect and help five people get their job done quicker. What's better for the company? Right? It's not necessarily me sitting there pounding out C sharp. So as much fun as that is.
So I guess what do you see as your own personal secret sauce that helps you with this? I mean, there's something that I mean, when you come in the morning and you got to dig in and you're like, okay, you gotta, there's some secret sauce in there that overrides everything else. In your, is it
Sort
the
of like what,
listening?
how do I engage? What is it that keeps me interested and really just kind of makes me want to continue doing what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, in the end, it all does come back to the technology, right? I love the application of technology to real world problems. One of my favorite systems I ever built was the energy management system for that tower in Atlantic City. And it was because here is an opportunity for me to write some code that can actually affect things in the real world in a positive way. And that was just a blast to do. It was awesome. So now it's about, hey, here's a great idea. Let's talk about this. I don't know. Chris came up with a great idea. Here's how I think it could be beneficial for us. So let's whiteboard that out. Let's figure out how that's going to go, and and how can we incorporate that into the operation of whatever particular department it's going to benefit, the call center, table games, whatever, and just seeing that come to fruition, right? And seeing the positive impact, and then obviously as leaders we all get to see the numbers, and I can see the numbers change now. Look, that number changed because of what we did. That's really exciting stuff. So um, that's really what keeps me engaged, is just the ability to have that positive impact. Also, we're very fortunate at Cordish that we have the ability to grow even in times like this. I mean, we're going to be opening our fourth casino, so now a whole brand new casino project is coming up. That stuff just really gets me excited. Yeah, as you know, openings are a whole different animal. Um, it's a very different kind of project, but certainly no less challenging than any other technical project, right? So being able to see a new property start up and then just being there for the grand opening and stuff like there's that's a very very satisfying feeling, and I just love doing that, and repeating that is awesome.
Yeah, I know. I agree 100%. A matter of fact, there's a big difference in adding or changing a system to creating and building a casino. The energy levels different, the staffing it up, putting it together. It's just there's nothing quite like it, and definitely anyone that's never done it needs to try it because it is a great time. Hard time. You will not. You're 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, but it's definitely satisfying.
So I think I told you this story actually. The reason I wanted to open a casino was because in my first casino, everybody was telling me how they would never want to do it again. But then everybody describing their experiences going through that opening, everything I was hearing sounded really cool. So I'm like, so you would never want to do that again? I want to do it at least once. So, now I've done it, what, for six, this will be my fifth or sixth casino. I know that's nothing compared to a lot of people in the industry, but for me, I never thought I'd open one. So having six is a lot of great, a lot of great fun, a lot of great memories, just awesome teams to work with, and you know, when you got $1 billion thing come to life in front of you, that's like I said, that's a reward right there.
That must make us sick people, I guess.
Maybe, but it's okay. There are worse kinds of sick to be.
Yes. So any advice you might have for someone who's who's new to leading a team and who's just thrust into it like you were?
um, Relax. Really, I think is the first thing. Make sure that you're comfortable doing what you're doing. Make sure your team sees that. Interact with your team. Be there for your team. Um, Let them lead, right, with your guidance. Allow them to stretch. Don't create an environment that stifles creativity or doesn't allow someone to express their opinion. I had a conversation with one of my people the other day. We were talking about a particular system, and she said something to me about, well, yeah, but you know, I heard blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, who said that? And she's, well, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. And I'm like, well, you should know me well enough by now to know that I'm not asking you because I want to get this person in trouble. If it's an incorrect perception, I just want to correct the perception. And she's like, you know what? You're right. And then she just kind of told me everything. I want my team to feel that way, right? And that's the environment I would encourage other leaders to try to um, create, you know, something where your team is comfortable. Have an open door policy. My people all know they can come to me anytime. Doesn't matter, you know. I'm not encouraging people to skip their manager to do things, but if they want to come by and say hi or they want to brainstorm an idea, I'm there. I'm all about that, and I'm happy to have those conversations. So just be available. I've seen, you know, executive suites that are behind locked doors and nobody can get in without making an appointment. And I never wanted to be in a situation like that. I want to be out there so that you know, so that people can interact with me whenever they choose to. Um, I mean, that's really what I would tell people who are interested in emulating a style like mine anyway. Um, and just, you know, be the example. Uh, I had a lot of great examples. I had some not so great examples, but like I said, you can learn something from anybody. So,
That's great, Frank, and great insight into leadership. And we really appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you for giving us something, definitely some food for thought and some things to work with. Um, Thanks for coming on the show.
well, thank you, John. It was a pleasure, and hope to be able to do it again about other interesting topics.
It'd be a pleasure. This is John Cash Philippi with Gaming and Leisure Voice, and we've been talking with Frank Bonini, the Senior Vice President of IT over at Cordish. Have a great day.